The morning sun was just beginning to warm the small town's streets when Marcus Tate pulled into the gas station. He was still in uniform, crisp, pressed, and immaculate, after attending a veterans memorial ceremony at the city hall. The tall black man stood with quiet dignity as he filled his tank, his jacket gleaming with service medals earned from 20 years in the army, including deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. His posture, his calm eyes, and the steady rhythm of his movements reflected the discipline that had defined his life. But to a pair of local officers passing by, all they saw was a black man in a nice car wearing what they assumed was a fake uniform. The patrol car slowed down beside the pumps, and Marcus caught a glimpse of the officers inside. The driver, Officer Harlan, a broad man with a shaved head and mirrored sunglasses, gave a smirk to his partner. Marcus knew that look. He'd seen it before, curiosity laced with judgment. He tried to ignore it. He just wanted to get home. But within moments, flashing lights painted the gas station red and blue. Marcus turned slowly as the two officers stepped out, hands already hovering over their weapons. A few people nearby froze mid-step, sensing the tension. Marcus raised his hands slightly, his voice calm. "Something wrong, officers?" "Yeah," Harlan said, swaggering closer. "We got a call about a stolen vehicle matching this description. Mind telling us what you're doing in that uniform?" Marcus blinked, confused but collected. "This is my car, and this," he tapped his chest, "is my actual uniform. I'm a veteran, just came from a memorial downtown." The second officer, Jenkins, said with a smirk. "You got ID to prove that?" Marcus reached slowly for his wallet. "Of course," but before he could even take it out, Harlan barked, "Hands where I can see them," and grabbed his wrist roughly. The gas nozzle clattered to the ground. Gasoline splashed at his boots as the officers moved in. "I said I'm getting my ID," Marcus repeated, trying to stay calm, though his pulse began to quicken. He knew how fast things could spiral. "Stop resisting," Harlan shouted, twisting his arm behind his back and forcing him against the car. Jenkins grabbed his other wrist, cuffing him tightly. Marcus winced as the cold metal bit into his skin. By now, a small crowd had gathered. Phones came out. A woman gasped, "Why are you arresting him? He didn't do anything." Someone called out, "Back up," Jenkins shouted, "Law enforcement matter." Marcus was pushed down onto his knees, the weight of Harlan's knee pressing into his back. "You think wearing a uniform gives you a free pass, huh?" Harlan sneered. "You people will try anything." For a moment, Marcus wanted to lash out. The years of training, the instinct for self-defense, it all kicked in. But he forced himself still. He'd learned long ago that control wasn't weakness. It was power. "My wallet's in my right pocket," he said evenly. "Take it out. My ID is inside. You'll find my veteran card, too." Jenkins scoffed but reached in, flipping open the worn leather wallet. Inside was a military ID with the seal of the U.S. Army, along with several commendation cards. Jenkins' smirk faltered. Harlan," he started, but Harlan ignored him. Marcus spoke again, quietly. "You've made a mistake, officer. And I'm giving you one chance to make it right before I make a call that'll change your day." That tone, the calm assurance, the unshaken authority, made both officers pause. Harlan leaned closer, his breath hot on Marcus's ear. "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise," Marcus replied. With his hands cuffed, Marcus nodded toward his phone lying on the ground, just out of reach. "You mind if I use my one call now?" "Yeah, sure," Harlan said mockingly. "Who you gonna call?" "Your buddies at the barbershop." Marcus didn't answer. When Jenkins hesitated, Marcus said again, "Unlock it for me." Face recognition. Jenkins rolled his eyes but lifted the phone toward him. It unlocked instantly. Marcus dialed a single number and put it on speaker. The voice on the other end was sharp and commanding. "General Lawson speaking." The color drained from Jenkins' face. "Wait, did he just say General?" Marcus spoke calmly, as though he were reporting from a mission. "Sir, this is Sergeant Major Marcus Tate. I'm being detained by local officers at the Sinclair gas station on Route 9. They're claiming my vehicle is stolen and that my uniform is fake." There was a brief silence, then the general's voice boomed through the speaker. "What, Sergeant Major Tate, hold position. Do not engage. I'll handle this immediately." Harlan snorted. "Nice try, buddy. You expect us to believe." Before he could finish, the general's voice thundered again. "Officer, identify yourself now." Jenkins swallowed hard. Officer Jenkins, sir." Local PD." "Good," the general snapped. You and your partner are about to have a very long conversation with the Department of Defense and your precinct chief. Do not move that man. Marcus remained kneeling, calm as ever. Within 10 minutes, 3 black SUVs pulled into the gas station. Men in suits stepped out, military police and state investigators. The crowd's murmurs grew louder as the scene shifted from chaos to awe. The lead investigator flashed a badge at the stunned officers. "We'll take it from here." Harlan tried to protest, but before he could finish, he was relieved of his weapon and badge on the spot. Jenkins looked like he wanted to melt into the pavement. The investigator turned to Marcus, helping him to his feet and uncuffing him gently. "Sorry you had to go through this, Sergeant Major." Marcus nodded, rubbing his wrists. "Just glad it's over." The general himself arrived minutes later, stepping out of one of the SUVs, his face a mix of fury and disbelief. He walked straight up to Marcus and clasped his hand. "You've done more for this country than half the people wearing badges today," he said, his voice carrying across the lot. Then he turned to the 2 officers, now standing pale and silent. "You handcuffed a decorated veteran in uniform. You'll answer for this." The gas station was silent except for the distant hum of engines and the clicking of phone cameras. The onlookers who had stayed were now clapping softly. Marcus didn't bask in it. He simply nodded once more, retrieved his phone, and looked at the 2 men who had humiliated him moments earlier. "I served so people like you could do your job safely," he said. "But that uniform doesn't make you right, it just gives you a choice. You chose wrong today." Later that afternoon, both officers were suspended pending investigation. By evening, they were terminated for misconduct and racial bias. The story spread across social media, the video of the incident going viral. Thousands of comments poured in, veterans, civilians, and officers alike condemning the behavior and praising Marcus's restraint. Marcus never sought revenge or headlines. He only wanted respect, the kind he'd earned through blood, sweat, and service. And though that day had shaken him, it had also reminded him of something deeper. True strength isn't about control or fear. It's about standing tall, even when others try to tear you down. When the press later asked Marcus what he thought about the officers losing their jobs, he simply said, "Accountability isn't punishment. It's how we make sure this doesn't happen again." Then he walked away, the sun setting behind him, his uniform still gleaming, no longer a target of suspicion, but a symbol of quiet, unshakable honor.